Most people I meet in Toronto say the same thing. It's just too damn expensive to live here. I mean, my wife and I broke it down in detail in this video. I get it, prices are up, inflation's wild, and Toronto's not cheap. But instead of cutting back, I doubled down. And here's why that's worked really well for me. And it requires a real mindset shift, which we'll get to in a bit. But let's start off with some context. Things are indeed freaking expensive here. For detailed expenses of what my wife and I spent to live in downtown Toronto, you can check out this video probably after you're done with this one. And also our expenses have actually gone up a little since the time we published that video. It just goes to show how expensive things are here. But I think it's how I've chosen to look at things that it's helped me in more ways than one monetarily. And so once I came to terms with it, it's given me no choice but to figure out ways to make more money. Like I first tried the approach of ignoring it all, which then led to worrying constantly about how much things cost or how much I'm saving. And I can tell you it's not sustainable if you have a lot of big goals in your life. It definitely didn't work for me. And so there's only two sides of the equation here. Either focus on cutting down on spending and saving more, or make more money. And of course, there's a limit to how much you can save or how much expenses you can cut, but there's really no limit to how much you can make or earn. And I'd like to go over a few eye-opening reasons why I started focusing on making more money instead. And in that process, I actually made a lot more money too. Let's start off by talking about inflation or hyperinflation. Like this is a real thing, and I see it not just here, but also in the US and India. Sure, things are expensive here, but that's the case anywhere around the world, to be honest. So it means we need to really buck up and make hay while we can. When the whole US tariffs debacle was blowing up, which it still is, people were more about, the legislation and the policies and all that. But the moment they walked into the store and saw what the prices had become, that's when reality dawned on them. Sure, now the countries are negotiating and all that, but I personally think this is just the start. Like things are only going to get more and more expensive from here onwards, and the nicer things are going to have higher monetary barriers. Like for instance, I picked up tickets to watch Coldplay, but why is it so freaking expensive here in Toronto? Like it's so much cheaper in most cities in the US, but that's also because there are people here who are willing to spend that money. So even if people generally complain about how expensive things are here, there are still people willing to spend a shit ton of money. Like I live in downtown, and every time I go for a walk on a weekday evening, I see most bars, cafes or restaurants jam-packed. Like a lot of these places are not really economical. Some of them with exorbitant prices, but there are clearly a lot of people who are ready to spend. And I think that's just capitalism 101 for you. And with that comes inflation or hyperinflation or whatever. So don't expect things to change anytime soon is what I'm saying. Yeah, so inflation isn't going anywhere. And I think the only way to fight money is with money. And owning a business has definitely helped me in numerous ways. A big one being that I get to make so much more money, and of course, tax write-offs and whatnot. If you have been on the fence about starting something of your own, then you might actually be interested in what I put together. It's 15 things to do to ensure you build a super profitable and sustainable venture even when you're employed. Like things that most entrepreneurs do not talk about, and how to practically get you to build a business or a side hustle even while you're employed. Like there's a bunch of psychological points, some strategic advice, some tactical and some habits-based advice, all structured to get you to build something of your own that actually makes you money in the process. It's completely free. It's all going to be delivered to your inbox one day at a time so that you can read and learn at your own comfort and pace. And of course, you can unsubscribe at any time if you don't find it valuable. You can click on the first link in the description and sign up. I'm in my 30s now, and I don't want to skimp out on the good things in life. Coming from a middle-class family, there's a lot my wife and I have sacrificed in our 20s to get here. Now there's no more sacrifices, only making hay, like I said, and doubling down. Like I have a clear idea of what I want my life to look like, and this is why we choose to pay more than $3,200 per month for rent and live in downtown. And this is why we spend money every single week to get our meals prepped. Yeah, we don't cook any of our meals because we'd rather spend more money and have that outsourced. Because honestly, we need that time to focus on our ventures and actually make more money in the process. And so no more settling either. And so this phase of my life is to not survive, but instead thrive. It might sound corny or wishful, but that's just how I like to live my life. All of this only because I started adopting the abundance mindset. This is crucial in my opinion. Like you need to know that there's enough for everyone, and just because someone else is making money doesn't mean that you need to lose money or you're not making money in the process. You need to know that there's a big piece of the pie you can get, and which will mean that you get paid more. This is why with my businesses too, I only operate on big ticket sizes. It's what's helped me scale my media house business. When people hear that the minimum ticket size of packages with my clients is around $4,000 per month, they're shell-shocked. Like, why would someone spend that much? But I think that's the cost of expertise in strategy, content strategy, and creating content in the top 1% quality. And it also weeds out the clients who don't have the money to work with me. The point I'm trying to make is that expecting costs of items to go down is not in your control, but what is in your control is how you can make more money in the process. I think it all comes down to leverage at the end of the day. A country and its government has the leverage to increase or impose tariffs. A large-scale company can shoot up their prices because they have better pricing power and leverage. We as consumers have no say in that, no matter what you say about democracy and whatnot. So fundamentally, the only thing in your control is to try and make more money. Again, not saying that things are not expensive or it's very easy to start making money. Not really the case, but I'm choosing to look at this in a way that helps me and my future self thrive. Living in an expensive place meant that I had to look for a second income. And so there is a massive downside with just relying on your salary. Like, I was thinking about this recently. With a day job, you know for the fact how much you're going to earn every month or every 2 weeks, but you have no idea how much you're going to spend. This means that you can end up spending your entire salary, but it doesn't work the other way around. Like, you can't all of a sudden increase your income because you have more to spend in a particular month. And this is where, along with the abundance mindset I mentioned earlier, you need to find more ways to make money. The practical way I did this was to see how much money I needed every month coming in. Currently, it's about $15,000 per month. That's the goal I have in my month, and I'm almost there. Like, if you've seen my previous videos, you would have seen that I got laid off earlier this week. And so back then too, my monthly goal was pretty much the same. It didn't really change. And now, instead of relying on a salary from a day job, I'm still trying to hit the same goals for my business. And the good thing is it's been showing promise because I'm almost at my goal, short of a few $100s to be honest. But how did I get to this number? Like, how did I land on $15,000? Well, I sat down and did the math and thought about non-negotiables like rent, utilities, provisions, etc. Like how much money I need to send back home to my family, my emergency fund and savings, my investment plans, and my fund money for leisure. If you know, you know. And once I hit this goal of 15K in the coming month, I'm going to ramp this up and aim for $20,000 per month by September, October. And my goal by the end of the year is to be making $38,000 per month. I've never really spoken about this before, but that's the goal I've set. And I honestly believe it's achievable, just knowing the upside with owning a business and earning more. And this goes back to what I started this point off with. You can't really suddenly shoot up your earning potential with a salary. So there are massive downsides with salary. There's a cap. And so you need to figure out other ways that you can start making more money. Also, starting a business while staying employed wasn't really easy. I'm not gonna lie. But it's definitely paying off dividends at the moment for me. So once again, if you're interested in building something that's entirely yours, then check out my email program, 15 things you need to do to build a profitable and scalable business even while working full-time. Completely free, and you can click on the first link in the description and sign up. And this brings me to one of the most important points out of the lot, which I kind of mentioned earlier, but having just one source of income just doesn't cut it anymore. Unless you're one of those CEOs that get paid in millions. To be fair, even they have more incomes than one. And so like I mentioned in so many of my previous videos, you can and should save, invest, diversify your investments with real estate and whatnot. But what will really make you serious money and actually get you rich is if you own equity. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And to be fair, equity doesn't just necessarily mean a business, which is what I'm focused on at the moment, but it could be freelancing, which in itself is sole proprietorship, taking on contract work, side hustle, etc. At the end of the day, relying on one income means you're one layoff away from almost hitting rock bottom. And those companies, like we're seeing, unfortunately have the leverage to lay off in droves. So dude, future-proof yourself and get to it. Because especially with the advent of AI, right? I think the future would have lesser careers where one works in the same field forever at the same company. And I think it's going to more so look like pockets of careers or having different careers. And I think this is where a jack of all or a CEO mentality person would really thrive. And this actually brings me to a bonus point. I really think it's not just important to become an entrepreneur, but also think about becoming a gamified entrepreneur. I just think that life is so much more fun if you're gamified. Like if you treat your life as this game where you make money, almost like Monopoly, which is ironic because it's all based on how things work in real life. And to be fair, money is a made-up construct, so you can technically treat it as a game. And I think if you can make it fun and reward yourself in the process, then it becomes a far more sustainable approach, I think. The more I explore entrepreneurship, I'm convinced that It's just a tool for personal growth. And in the process, it's actually making me a lot of money too. And so to be fair, why I can reap those benefits or rely on my business full time is because I started adopting this mindset well before moving to Canada, to be honest. And now it's actually helping me a ton. And so if I look at the amount of money I made in a particular month, or if I look at a metrics for certain things, like maybe with this content too, right? And say if I made lesser money in a month, I'm thinking about how this can be a game and I can improve it. So it's like, how do I tweak things so that I can really win at life? Like I said, almost like a game. And I think this is something that Ali Abdaal talks about a lot too. And I found it super fascinating when I heard it for the first time. I think it all ties back to that abundance mindset I mentioned earlier. It all comes down to the fact that if you don't think you can, you can't. It's very simple. And on the flip side, if you want to make more money, you 100% can. But it's just that it comes at a cost. And it's not really easy either. And I should say that if you see these videos where they make it seem like it's super easy to make money, drop shipping, crypto and whatnot, I just suggest you to stay the F away. It's not sustainable and it's not going to make you rich. What you instead want is sustainable sources of income so that you can confidently say that this is how much you're going to make in a month with a lot of upside potential, and get you to a point where you have the option to actually quit your job and focus on making more than your business. I mean, that sort of freedom is just freaking insane. I've been there, it's felt great, not easy, but it was freaking awesome. But it all comes down to mindset and systems, to be honest. So think it through, adopt the right mindset, and I would say thrive in any economy. If you're thinking about building another income, a side hustle, or a business, and want to quickly validate the idea and make money in that process, then reach out to me because I'm helping a handful of people at the moment with this very same problem. You can book some time with me on my Calendly link in the description. First come, first serve, so if you don't see any spots, you know why. And if you don't want to talk to me for some reason and you would instead like to do this for free over email, then you can sign up for 15 things you need to do to build a profitable and scalable business even while working full-time. Again, it's not the usual fluff. These are things that most people don't talk about, the stuff that actually moves the needle. And if it's not useful or helping you out in any way, then unsubscribe anytime, no hard feelings. Just hit the first link in the description if you want to check it out. Yeah, I have a whole lot of content coming your way around building businesses, going from 0 to 1, building a secondary source of income. I'm actually working on $1 million idea where I've already gone through the validation phase and I'm currently in like phase 3 of the business. So I'll be sharing a lot more of that journey as well. So if you'd like to see more, then hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.